Hello and welcome to another edition of 67 Hail Hail. We're here to chat about another big Celtic victory, Hamish, with you outside the ground and me here. We're going to get into the match. Oh, are you ducking? Are you looking for the players coming out there? What are you doing there?
There's massive. I'm just showing you Celtic Park, mate.
All right,
It's
okay.
not often we get to do this in the daylight, so I thought I'd give the viewers a wonderful look at our wonderful stadium.
Well, if you missed the match, Celtic won 5-0. It was very comfortable in the end. 10 minutes of decent knockabout cup tie action and then Celtic dominance for the next 75 minutes, I would suggest. We're going to get into all the issues of the match, but we're going to chat to Hamish for a bit first because you've just been at Ange Postecoglou's post-match media conference, and we just want to get a bit of news from you, a bit of Ange's patter, a bit of Ange's demeanour after that big win, and lots of news for Celtic over the last few days.
Just typical Ange form, I would say today. It's funny because usually you get the manager first and then the player comes in. We actually had David Turnbull come out first, and one of the questions to him was, so Josip Juranovic is leaving Celtic, what do you make of that? And I was kind of like scratching my head a wee bit, wondering if I'd missed like an official statement from the club or something like that. Obviously Juranovic is heading, and Ange kind of confirmed that afterwards, but found that a wee bit strange. But Ange was in good form. Few wee funny quips. The first question, actually, he sat down and he was asked, so Josip Juranovic is leaving, and his response was, we just scored 5 goals, can we not chat about that first? So we managed 2 questions, and then the third one was about Juranovic, at which point he confirmed that Juranovic, who was at Celtic Park today, I believe, is away to Union Berlin for a medical, and Ange's quote was, if that goes well, he'll sign for them. So Josip Juranovic is going to be leaving Celtic. I asked him about the signing of Alistair Johnson and whether that is the perfect example of the transfer strategy he's trying to achieve at Celtic. He was very quick to mention Anthony Ralston as well, but yeah, he said he kind of laid down the gauntlet to Alistair Johnson a bit and said, it only really works if Alistair Johnson can be better than Juranovic, which I thought was interesting. And he had plenty of really good things to say about Juranovic. He was also asked about Giakoumakis, why he'd missed the game today. I think Ange's official reason was, still kind of injury niggles. But he then, without being prompted, brought up the fact that there's a lot of speculation about Giakoumakis. So I think it's fair to assume that he's going to be leaving the club as well. He was asked about South Korean player. He was asked whether he wanted to comment or confirm an interest. His answer was no.
No.
But I don't think we read much into that. Yeah, and he was also at the end asked about VAR. And again, he was kind of smiling as the question was asked, and he said, I better not. So
Better not. Okay.
Yeah.
I believe he was also asked about the pitch as well, because that was a point of contention for some supporters today. It wasn't in great nick on Wednesday night. It wasn't in great nick again today.
We can probably have a good discussion about that. I mean, I was in the main stand today for a wee change, and I found it much more noticeable. There's a real period, and I saw the kind of TV pictures as well, and it looked bad on telly. And I don't think Ange is pleased about it. He says the 2 things we have going for us, the advantages we have going for us at Celtic Park, are the fans and the pitch. And he says that it was difficult for the team today. Again, he brought that up without being prompted. He was then later kind of asked to comment on it, but clearly something he's not kind of happy about. And I think he kind of had to comment on it after the criticism of the Hampden pitch a week ago. It would have been double standards, because that Celtic pitch isn't great. He said the club are working on a few things, so we'll see what happens there. It just seems to me like kind of most winters it's kind of like that, but maybe it's a bit worse now.
So, I mean, I've been led to believe, because obviously this has been an issue on and off for a number of years, I'm led to believe it's hard to get sunlight onto that pitch, and that's a big reason for it. And they use these big heat lamps and sun lamps, but I'm not sure how effective that is. It didn't look in great nick today, and hopefully some in the club are working on it. I'm sure they are. If it's on Ange's radar to that extent where he's mentioning it in the media, then it will certainly be on the radar, and they'll be doing everything they can to.
Do you think someone's getting a wee rollicking for Ange right now at Celtic Park?
It sounds like it might have been you to be honest, Hamish.
No, he was fine today. He was in good spirits, actually. As I say, he had a good few ones. But I think when you factor in all that stuff today, that was pretty good again. I mean, Celtic can play better, and again, I think it was Anthony from Four Tims asked Ange about that. Is there more to come? And he said there has to be. But I think Celtic are great at the moment. I mean, we're scoring goals for fun. There's so many players you can pick out every single game as being top performers. I mean, Aaron Moy today, again, 2 goals. I think that's 5 he's got for the club now. Just looking great.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, we'll get into the match now unless there's anything else burning from the Turnbull or Postecoglou chat.
Turnbull was asked why he's not smiling when he's scoring goals, and he said it was too cold.
Oh, fair enough.
But
I sympathise with that.
It's cold here and I'm smiling, so...
Yeah, well, you're speaking to me, though. The Turnbull doesn't have that luxury. We'll get into the match, because, as you say, it was another good performance. If you haven't seen the game, as I said, it was 5-0 to Celtic, goals from Aaron Moy, Kyogo Furuhashi and David Turnbull himself. All well-taken goals. Obviously, Moy's first goal was a penalty. We'll get into that a little bit in a minute, because there's been a lot of contentious controversy around that one, for good reason, I would suggest. Kyogo with a double, Hamish, on to 20 goals now. That's his total tally for the entirety of last season. He's already hit that mark by January. I know he was injured last season, but that's a hell of a run. I think he's got 10 goals in his last 8 games, or 9 goals in his last 8 games, so he's really hitting fire just now, and he was good again today. Kind of blew Morton away in that first half and then got a rest at half-time.
He won man of the match after playing 45 minutes, which kind of sums up. And I believe they said it's voted for by Celtic fans.
Yeah,
Are they doing it on
put it
social
on
media?
Twitter. Yeah, they put it on Twitter, yeah. So, the only options that they gave on Twitter were Kyogo and Turnbull, no Moy. So I think if
Moy should have won it.
I think if Moy had been on the poll that they used to determine that, I'm pretty sure he would have won, because Kyogo was class, but it was a masterclass from Moy. I thought he was just at the heart of everything good today.
Yeah, just on Kyogo, I mean, as you say, 20 goals, 17 of them in the league. I spent a wee hour on, I think, Thursday just looking at, some of the best seasons we've had league-wise in terms of player scoring, and Kyogo's like, if he keeps up, his form, as you say, 10 goals in his last 8 games since the World Cup, he's going to hit over 30 goals. And I think even take Celtic out of the equation, there's only been like 4 players, I think, in the 21st century who have scored 30 league goals in a season. I think Chris Boyd's one, I think Larsson did it twice, I think Griffiths is the other one. So I don't... Do you feel people realise, how incredible a season Kyogo's actually having? Because, as I tweeted again yesterday, if he scores 30 league goals, he has to be Player of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it pans out. I mean, hopefully this is kind of him. I still feel like he's getting back to a peak almost. So I think he can be even better, because he's so blow away exciting when he's on peak confidence, and he's making those runs that just trick defenders consistently. But in today, his goals were taken in the box. He had to take a touch. He had to find the space necessary in the box, and that added to the fact that he can destroy teams running in behind them as well. I think defences are in for a tough time over the next few weeks, and I mean, I wouldn't bet against them going up towards 30 before the end of the season now, if he can stay fit. And it was good that he got kind of taken off at half-time today. The game was won. There was no need to play more of him, and now he's got 8 days rest until Tannadice, and you'd expect him to be in top form on Tayside as well. So very excited about Kyogo at the moment. And as I just mentioned, very pleased with what Moy's bringing to the team, because I thought he was magic today.
McGregor got a half rest as well.
Yeah.
Tell me about the penalty, because I walked into the media room and speaking to a couple of the guys in there, and they cannot believe it was given as a penalty. I've already seen your thoughts on WhatsApp, Stevie's thoughts. Can't believe it. So what's going on?
Essentially, for me, by the definition or the guidance of the rules, it might technically be a penalty, but in the spirit of the game and what fans like to see, it's never a penalty, because Efe Ambrose basically can't do anything about it. I think the ball goes forward, and then the Ambrose's Morton teammate, the ball comes off him and goes directly onto Efe Ambrose's hand, which is kind of sticking out behind him a little bit, and there's literally nothing Ambrose can do. It's as absurd as the Bernabeu one that was given against us at Celtic Park, stuff like that. So it's one of those ones that you're just absolutely fuming if that goes against you. And even as a Celtic fan, I'm sitting here thinking, how is the referee given that? And it's because the definition of the handball rule is so subjective at the moment. VR is obviously looking at things really closely, and Clancy goes over to the sideline and gives it. For me, it's a stupid penalty to give, and I think, if the referees are given stuff like that, then as everyone has noted, I think it needs to go back to IFAB, and they need to look at this guidance again, or at least need to give guidance with regards to VAR as well, because our referees never given that without VAR, and it seems silly at the moment that these decisions are being given. Celtic have obviously had a few shockers, and I thought that was a shocker that went against Morton today. So it's unfortunate for Morton, but ultimately Celtic's. Yeah, I think Celtic are due it, but it's still frustrating to see that, because you're looking at it and you're just thinking that's not a penalty, or shouldn't be a penalty.
Dougie Imrie seemed to reckon that if the ball had deflected off of Effie Ambrose and onto his hand, it wouldn't have been a penalty. It was just because it was another player. So again, that just seems bizarre to me, how that's a rule. I mean, how did we end up at this place? And I mean, it affected the match in a way, but it didn't determine the match. I think Celtic would still have been going through without that, but it's kind of like frustrating now, because I mean, is that evened up from Ibrox, the Goldson one now, because we've got one in a cup tie against Morton? It's a hell of a state we found ourselves in at the moment.
Yeah, my thoughts on it have been well established. I'm not happy with the VR situation. I'm not happy with the handball situation. We'll try not to get too bogged down in it here, because
you're going to take Ange's method of just not commenting. Better not.
Basically, yeah, and I think there was other good stuff today we can comment on. As I said, Moy and Turnbull pretty good in the midfield today. Turnbull's really good at finding those clinical shots from the edge of the box, isn't he?
Yeah, I asked him, I said, that's 2 goals that you've scored, 2 good goals in as many days, and he commented on the pitch. Again, he said, I thought it was going to go, high into the stand, Rose Ed, because of the pitch. So he is really good. I mean, he's kind of everything you'd hope Ryan Christie would have been when Ryan Christie was having shots. The difference is that Turnbull, he hits the target, he makes the keeper make a save. And I mean, the goal today was more of a side foot into the net, whereas the one in the other night, I'd say, was a bit of a screamer. But it's a good kind of weapon to have. I thought he was good today as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can see him picking his spot. He's almost like a snooker player or something. He waits. He's got a lot of composure, and he kind of waits and pulls his leg back and just pings it right into the corner. I love when the ball comes back to him in those positions. I've just got confidence he's at least going to get it on target. He had another one in the second half which was saved well, that easily could have gone in the bottom corner as well. So pretty happy with Turnbull at the moment. He's getting a lot of substitute appearances, but I think that was his first start since before the World Cup, since November. So it was good for him to get an opportunity to start and impress. And as you say, 2 goals in 2 matches will do his harm. His chances of more appearances no harm at all. Anyone else in the team today, Hamish? We saw Tomoki Iwata make his debut at half time. What were your first impressions of him? Obviously, you can't make verdicts after 45 minutes in a match Celtic were already 4-0 up in. But just how did he look on the ball? How did he look off the ball? What were your first impressions of him?
I really can't. I mean, he looked nice and tidy, but the game was over at that stage. It's good he got 45 minutes, though. Ange commented on that, and he also commented on Haksabanovic, the fact he'd been able to get him 45 minutes, just under 45. Oh, no, he did. Sorry, he came on at half-time, so I think that was important to Ange. But Iwata was fine. I mean, I think he's going to actually be a very good player for us, a very useful player for us. But a bit like Kobayashi in midweek, I'm kind of reticent to make a big claim on them. I didn't think it was a blow-away performance, but I think you can tell already that he's going to fit in very neatly. Ange actually commented on Kobayashi as well, and said he felt his timing was much better today. He said he felt his timing was a bit off in midweek, which I didn't actually notice, but
no.
But Ange said that was just after having not played in so long. But I thought Kobayashi was good again. I think, Kobayashi, I know you asked me about Iwata, but I think Kobayashi could surprise people as well. I'm quite kind of impressed with him so far on the ball, and I thought he was even better today than in midweek.
There was another debut. Bosun Lawwell came on very late on if you've missed the game. So there was 2 Celtic debuts today. So good for him to get a bit of experience in the matchday squad coming onto the pitch. It's good for him. Ange has been talking quite a lot about the B team in recent weeks and kind of suggesting that there's a group of players ready to make more of a push towards the first team over the next 12 months. And I think Lawwell's very much included in that. I think it's him, Rocco Vasa. I think there's high hopes for Ben Summers, and I think there's high hopes for Matthew Anderson as well, who just signed a new contract through the week. So I think there's a clutch of 4 or 5 players that could start to make more appearances over the next 12 months, and perhaps that was the start of him today. But there was nothing really to say about his performance. He was literally on for 3 minutes. Anyone else today, Hamish, that you'd like to highlight?
You ready for a cliched answer? The Celtic support. How about that? I mean, wonderful. Being serious, so I came out today. We've had, you know yourself, we've had games over the years. These kind of matches, it's live on BBC One today. Anyone could effectively watch it. At 12:15 kickoff on a Saturday, you're playing lower league opposition. We have been at games in the past. Like, I would say if this was under Brendan Rodgers, I think this would have been, 25, 30,000. I got the crowd just as I was walking out, 40,011. 40,000, I think, is brilliant. I mean, I think that's sensational. I know people think I'm going over the top, but when the stadium holds 60. But I mean, I remember a game against Dumbarton. I think we're in, Morton's equivalent league all those years ago, and it was 18,000 or something. I mean, to get 40,000 for a game that's in BBC One Saturday lunchtime, I was pretty surprised. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, no, I agree. It looked busier than I was expecting to. I mean, I've been to Morton games at Celtic Park where the crowd's pretty sparse. So it's good to see that I think the crowds are turning out because they enjoy watching this team.
Yeah.
First and foremost, it's not obviously we're winning and that's exciting and there's kind of a certain bandwagon rolls on the back of that because there's more positivity and hype around the team and we're pushing towards multiple honours now this season towards 3 competitions. But I think it's more just about the style of play. People like watching this Celtic team. They like watching them break these teams down, their attempt to, and more often than not, they're rewarded. And I think, an example of that, a perfect example of that is Aaron Moy's performance today. Like, Aaron Moy's performance today is something that's worth mentioning because he was just gliding around the pitch, spraying the ball about. He had a couple of nice little passes in, or reverse passes. He had a kind of flip back heel pass in the box that was lovely as well. And it's just that kind of, it's not even showmanship, it's just effective quality football that you just love to watch. And I think, Moy's just an example, but there's a few other players in the team that are capable of that too. And you know what you're going to get when you turn out at Celtic Park.
He's so strong as well. I noticed it today. Like, he's built, Aaron Moy. There was a Kelly player last week bounced off him. I think it was Alan Power. He was driving forward. And there was one again today on that kind of right channel. It was a counter-attack, and the player just couldn't stay with him. And he's not the quickest. I think we all know that looking at him, but he makes up for it. He's such an intelligent player. And I know you noticed that about Iwata as well, that he's quite built, and Alistair Johnson certainly is. Do you think that's a conscious effort for Manchester to add a wee bit of steel to the team?
I'm not actually sure. I think Ange just likes players who can do a bit of everything. To be quite frank with you, like I believe Iwata can play in centre defence if you asked her, although perhaps maybe not in Scotland with some of the physical strikers that kick about our league. But in Japan, certainly was used a lot as a centre back and seems to have that kind of physical build to him. He's not the tallest, but he's quite built. And Aaron Moy's just been getting fitter and stronger as the weeks go on. Obviously, he's not the quickest player in the world, but he uses his intelligence to find space where pace isn't too much of an issue in his position. And I think when you look at a player like Haksabanovic, again, another very built player, plays in a more attacking position but is very physical and can get on the ball and stick his elbows out, stick his shoulders out and push people off the ball. So I think it's Ange just likes a mix of things, doesn't he? He likes players who can play in multiple roles. He also likes players who are different to other players he has. For example, Haksabanovic, very different type of wide player to Jota or Abada. Again, Maeda's very different to Haksabanovic as well. And even when, Giakoumakis looks like he might be heading out the door, but Kyogo, very different player to Giakoumakis. So I think Ange likes a bit of everything, is what I'd say. He likes a buffet of Celtic excellence, shall I say.
Buffet sounds good right now. I had a macaroni pie. That's all I've eaten so far today, so I think I'll get something nice after this.
What was the verdict? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
It was a main stand macaroni pie as well. It was quite burnt. Very burnt. So. I've got someone coming over, so you need to Excellent.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
Rocks, Airdrie.
Hey, how you go?
Legend. You made it on the channel. What a hero.
What a hero. Is that our first live stream intruder, Hamish? Because I quite like that moment.
For it. You could probably rewind that, and I looked a bit petrified there because I wondered if it was going to go on there. But a nice guy, a hero.
Is he asking for Stevie there? I think Stevie was getting a shout.
Nah, I just edited that bit out.
Okay. Right, we're going to go anyway. The good news is...
Who do you want in the next round of the Cup?
Bring on the Rangers, I always say that.
No. Because I'm in America for the next round of the Cup, so if it's Rangers, I'll miss the game. So we'll take
let's hope that St Johnstone beat Rangers tonight and we get St Johnstone.
Yeah, that'll do.
Well, that'll do. Right, the good news is, folks, but less technical problems tonight. My internet's been a bit of a shambles since I moved house before Christmas. Got an engineer in through the week, and he's managed to fix it all up. And so there's been no hitches today, no problems with my internet connection. Hopefully that's fixed going forward. Hamish, you'll be on the channel next week. There's loads of Celtic news at the moment. You'll be getting stuck into some of that. Juranovic, Giacomakis, potential player coming in. There's so much happening.
We'll have the audio from today as well for you on Marty's video, I think. So, yeah.
Perfect. And we've got loads of good stuff going up on the website too. All the stories, all the latest news, so you can stay in tune with Celtic that way. Thanks for joining us, everyone, in the live chat, or if you're watching on demand, you can leave comments below the line and let us know what we got wrong and our assessment of the game today and what we got right and how you're feeling about Celtic at the moment. Hamish, we're feeling good, aren't we? And we'll say goodbye now.
Bye, particularly to that guy who's probably now watching this from home.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.